What exactly is fear? The concept of fear is funny. Fear itself is a natural evolutionary response to a perceived threat, kind of like a defense mechanism. For example, if you're walking in the woods and come across a bear, fear sends you into fight or flight mode. Your heart starts to race, your breathing gets heavy, and for a brief moment, your body unlocks its full potential, almost like a real-life Kaioken. This temporary buff is the body's way of preparing to either face or escape the threat, hence the name fight or flight. The interesting thing is fear isn't just about real danger, it's based on your perception of a threat. That's why we sometimes experience irrational fears that can stop us from reaching our full potential. But that also raises a bigger question. Can someone ever truly be fearless? In this video, I'm going to break down 3 of the most common fears: failure, success, and the unknown through the lens of anime characters. By looking at how these fears shape their journeys and how they overcome them, we can find lessons to apply in our own lives. One of the most common fears people face isn't physical danger, it's the fear of failure. This fear isn't about survival, but it can paralyze you just the same. Some of the main reasons people struggle with fear of failure are self-doubt, pressure from expectations, and the pain of failing. No character represents the struggle and how to overcome it better than Gohan. When we first meet him, he's just a little guy, but from a young age, he shows signs of insane potential. For the most part, however, fear held Gohan back. But in his moments of fearlessness, his true potential shined through and he radiated Black Air Force energy. But that's the entire point of Gohan's character arc and why it's so inspirational. His fight with Cell is the turning point where he's forced to face all his fears stemming from self-doubt and the expectations placed on him. Realizing he's the last hope, Gohan is paralyzed by fear, forced to watch his loved ones struggle while depending on him. It's not until Android 16's death that Gohan snaps. However, it's not his death that made Gohan snap, but his final words. Since childhood, Gohan wrestled with an internal conflict. He was a gentle soul, never wanting to fight, but he was forced into battle to protect loved ones. This, along with his insane potential, made him not only fear his own power, but question its value at the same time. It's not until 16 lets him know it's okay to use his power to protect those around him, to drop his restraints and simply just let it go. It's in hearing these words that Gohan decides to finally let go of his fear and learns to accept who he is and what he's capable of. He accepts that his power is not a curse, but a tool to protect those he loves. It's this act of acceptance that ultimately allows him to step into his full potential, breaking free from the fear that held him back for so long. And this is the key to overcoming fear of failure: embracing who you are, imperfections and all, and trusting you have what it takes to face challenges ahead. You may be disappointed if you fail, but you're doomed if you don't try. Beverly Seals. Fear of failure can be overcome with acceptance, accepting yourself, your strengths, and whatever outcome comes your way. But ironically, what happens when the fear isn't about failing, but about what comes after success? Sometimes the weight of expectations and change that come with success can be just as paralyzing as the fear of failing in the first place. Let me ask you a question. Would you rather get everything but lose yourself in the process, or never get there and not know what you're missing out on? The fear of success can be just as detrimental to progress as the fear of failure. You might think, who in their right mind is scared of success? I mean, just imagine how much manga you could buy if you started a $1 billion business. What really scares people isn't the success itself though, it's the pressure and change that can come with it. Toguro from Yu Yu Hakusho is a perfect example of this. By the way, if you haven't seen Yu Yu Hakusho, please watch it. It's one of the best anime from the 90s. If you like old school anime, you'll love it. Anyway, Toguro was the main antagonist of the Dark Tournament arc and a character who suffered from success. 50 years before the show takes place, Toguro, along with his girlfriend Genkai, was the leader of a successful dojo with several members. All of this was ruined though when a demon named Chiron, who was favored to win the Dark Tournament, massacred all Toguro's pupils and colleagues. He did this as a twisted way of inviting Toguro to participate in the tournament, and it worked. Toguro disappeared for 3 months and came back the day before the tournament with a full team. Toguro and Chiron each fought their way to the finals, and in the final round, Toguro got his revenge, but at a heavy cost. Even though he won, the whole situation warped his mind, and when asked what he wanted as a reward for winning the tournament, he chose to be turned into a demon. Genkai disagreed with this choice and separated herself from him and asked to never be involved in the tournament again. Fast forward to the current day, and Toguro runs into Genkai's new apprentice, Yusuke. He does the same thing that happened to him in the past and threatens to kill Yusuke's loved ones if he doesn't join the tournament. Now, if you're like me, you're probably thinking, Toguro, what the fuck? But it's actually cool how Togashi wrote this to make perfect sense for Toguro's character, and it connects to the overall theme of fear of success. At first, the Dark Tournament seems like any other shonen tournament arc with battles that look like the main cast might lose, but they somehow pull through. But we already know as the audience in the finals is going to be Yusuke versus Toguro. The entire arc turned out to be huge for Yusuke in terms of growth and power and maturity, but the most interesting thing is that this was all a part of Toguro's plan. Deep down, Toguro resented what he had become in pursuit of power and saw Yusuke Yusuke as an opportunity to prove to him that someone can become successful without losing themselves. Togashi even displays this in how Togoro's power works. The more his strength goes up, the less human he looks and the more he turns into a monster. All during the fight, Toguro tries to tempt Yusuke into following the same path as him.
Think, Yusuke. What do you owe these people? Why do you let their weakness drag you down? Throw off the bags of guilt and you can become as powerful as me. Give yourself control. Believe in nothing but your own strength and it can never let you down.
Before Toguro dies, he thanks Yusuke, not just for pushing him to use his full power, but also proving that he could defeat him while maintaining his humanity. Toguro's final words to Genkai drive this point home when he reminds her that it's her job to make sure Yusuke reaches his full potential, but more importantly that he doesn't follow the path he did. Even in death, Toguro hated who he became so much, he chose to go to hell and be tortured rather than a lighter punishment Koenma offered. Toguro fell into the trap of thinking success meant abandoning everything human about himself, but Yusuke proves that true strength isn't about losing yourself, but about staying connected to who you are. So what exactly is the key to overcoming the fear of success? In simple terms, you have to find something that'll keep you grounded. During this arc, every time Yusuke found himself going off track, he found things that kept him grounded and in his right state of mind. During his training with Genkai, he pushed through the unbearable agony that made him want to give up in order to save Pooh. During his fight with Toguro, a spark was ignited in him at the sight of losing his best friend Kuwabara. Yusuke always fought for the people around him, unlike Toguro who fought and sought power for selfish reasons. The fear of success isn't just about what you gain, it's about what you might lose in the process. But Yusuke shows that if you hold on to what truly matters, success won't change you. It'll just make you a stronger version of yourself. The fear of success and failure isn't the only kind of fear that can hold us back. A lot of the times it's not the things we know that scare us, but what we don't know. The fear of the unknown can be crippling, especially when it comes to making big decisions or taking risks. The idea of stepping into uncharted territory can feel like diving into a void, uncertain of what's ahead. But sometimes embracing that uncertainty is what pushes us to grow the most. In anime, we see this fear reflected in characters who hesitate, doubt themselves, or struggle to take action simply because they don't know what'll happen next. Take Zenitsu from Demon Slayer, for example. His fear of the unknown keeps him trapped in a cycle of self-doubt, so much so that he panics and faints whenever he's faced with danger. But ironically, when he's unconscious, he's at his strongest. Seneca once said, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than reality." This perfectly describes how fear magnifies uncertainty, making challenges seem bigger than they actually are. So how do we overcome this fear of the unknown? The key is learning to move forward even when you don't have all the answers. Fear thrives on uncertainty, but the only way to conquer it is through action. And sometimes the best way to take action is by accepting that not everything is within your control. The more you try to predict and control every outcome, the more fear takes hold. But when you accept that some things are out of your hands, it frees you to focus on what you can do. This is why Zenitsu is stronger when he passes out. His fear can't control him when he's unconscious, and his body just naturally flows. So going back to the question of can someone ever truly be fearless? I think it's possible, but it takes a lot of work. You have to be self-aware of what fears you have and actively work toward conquering them one by one. I think we're all capable of achieving great things, but fear is the main thing holding most people back. Hopefully you learned something from this video. If not, then try opening your ears and watching the video again. I'm just kidding, but if you made it this far in the video, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment down below. I love you, and I'm out. Peace.